Thanks for staying with us. You're watching The What Now. We are staying on developments in Canada, where reactions have continued to trail the resignation of Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. I recall that Mr. Trudeau announced his resignation on Monday, saying he intends to step down from the top job and as the leader of Canada's ruling Liberal Party once a new party leader is chosen. Now I have joining me on the news, Global Affairs Analyst, Dr. Jide Ojo, to speak more on this. Dr. Jide, I'm sure you've been following this development, and it's quite shocking because Trudeau swept into power in 2015, and he managed to lead the Liberals to 2 more ballot box victories in 2019 and 2021. And so one is wondering, how did he get to this point where his popularity is now waning? And then, he has failing poll numbers.
Well, Precious, the point is you should not overstay your welcome. First, let me congratulate TVC on your new studio, your new world-class studio. That's very heartwarming. So back to your question is about knowing when to leave when the opposition is loudest. I think Justin Trudeau overstayed his welcome. 9 years in the saddle, and election due in October of 2025. He possibly felt he could weather the storm, but the sign was very clear since 2019. While Trudeau swept to power in a major, mudslide and landslide victory in 2015. By 2019, the party had become a minority party and had to form a coalition government to still hold in power. So that should tell you the signal that Trudeau and the Liberal Party, they are no longer welcome. But most importantly is the fact that just like it has happened in US on November 5, in Ghana on December 7, in UK in the July 2024 elections, the cost of living crisis, inflation has impacted Canadians so much so that even his former finance minister and deputy prime minister had to leave in December. That's Christine Freeland. And that is very symptomatic. When people with...
We seem to have lost connection there with Dr. Jide Ojo. Just to confirm, if we still have you, Dr. Jide Ojo. All right, we have lost connection with him. When we will try and reconnect and then have continue that conversation with Dr. Jide Ojo as we continue to monitor developments in Canada, where Justin Trudeau has now resigned as the Prime Minister. He will stay on till March, where there will be, till the new leader emerges in his party. But let's also let you know that Parliament has been dissolved till March in that country, almost, leaving him as some sort of caretaker Prime Minister. But now to the northern part of the country, where we continue again to monitor the humanitarian crisis that has plagued Sudan following the start of the war between the army and the RSF. Figures from the United Nations have now revealed that more than 11.5 million persons are now estimated to be internally displaced in Sudan, with nearly 8.8 million displaced since April 2023. According to the organization, this is due to the ongoing conflict, which escalated in December with intensified fighting in multiple regions. Experts reveal that the 2025 Sudan Humanitarian Needs and Response Plan will now require a record $4.2 billion to support close to 21 million people. Reports reveal that conflict and forced displacement remain the primary drivers of the crisis, which has been worsened by restricted humanitarian access. All right, I understand that Dr. Jide Ojo is back. Thank you so much for joining us again, Dr. Jide Ojo. I was going to ask you, because one of the challenges now that, I had mentioned earlier that he was going to stay on as some sort of caretaker Prime Minister. and that Parliament has been dissolved until March. But the biggest challenge before the country now is that, where does this leave them in terms of how to handle Trump's tariff threat? And then his America's first economic nationalism if there is no legislation and definite leadership, in that country.
Well, unfortunately, he has become a lame duck prime minister from yesterday because he has said he will stay on till March 24, and elections are due in October. But after a replacement may have been found for him, don't forget the Liberal Party president said that they are going to start, the board will meet this week, and it is hoped that this will be expeditiously done and a replacement will be found for Trudeau. If that happens, irrespective of what the 25% tax that Donald Trump said he was going to put on goods coming in from Canada and Mexico, they can do something about it. What Trump wants is for them to tighten the security around the Canadian border so that the undocumented migrants that are daily trooping to America from the Canadian border, from the Mexican borders, could be reduced to the barest minimum. And that's why Americans voted for Donald Trump, that, they feel that he's a man that can help match wars with action by reducing the number of undocumented migrants to America considerably. So it's just for the suspended parliament to enact bills, or if it's not possible for the parliament to enact bills, let them come up with policies that are stringent, that will convince the American government under Donald Trump about the seriousness of the Canadians to deal with the issue of undocumented migrants. And for me, Trudeau should be proud of himself. He's done his bit. He has some achievements to his name. You can't do it all. He's the last man standing out of the presidents and prime ministers of the G7. He's a son of a former prime minister. Absolutely. His father was prime minister. So he has a lot going for him. And
he comes from a very strong
Who knows?
political...
He may come back to power in future. It's just
exactly. I was just going to say that he comes from a very strong political dynasty, so one can write him off in terms of whether he may or may not return to leadership in Canada. We'll continue to monitor developments there. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Jide Ojo.
It's my pleasure, Precious. Enjoy your new year.